guys, welcome back to Pharaoh Iron and Customs. I'm here with Glenn again today. In here working on the mini truck. We're going to build that last panel to go on the truck, or at least start on it. It's going to be, we've talked about it a couple of times. What we're going to use is door hinges, just regular door hinges. You can use a piano hinge, but we're going to use a regular door hinge. Glenn had some hanging out in the shop. You know what to say, free is for me. All right. So what I've done with this hinge, and I'm going to bring you over here to the vise so you can see it, is I straightened out one side and then I bent the other one a little more so that when we lay it down across the back of the truck, see if we get it where y'all can see it, it will sit, it's going to sit across the back of the bed. We'll show you when we get to it, but I'm going to go in and straighten the other two. I'm going to show you how I've made these hinges to where the piece of steel will lay flat across it, and then we're going to get into probably making a box to go in it. So what I did, all right, there's the vise. Let's get a hinge. You'll notice the hinge has a side that has 2 rounds and one that has 3 rounds, and all I did was took the side that had 2, choked up on it in the vise right against where the bend is, took a hammer, straighten it up, and we want to make sure that we haven't caused any working problems with the hinge. And then all I did to get it to mate back around was took a chisel, and we're doing this kind of slow, a little bit at a time. That side, and hit the middle, and go to the other side. And there we go. So that's how we're going to make them hinges. And we're going to get into making this box and we'll come back. Alright, so we measured the width of the truck here, and what Glenn wants to use is shocks like you would use on a toolbox lid. Just a toolbox lid shock. These are busted, so he's going to have to get some new ones. But what we're going to do is turn them 180 degrees from each other. Build the frame for the lid to mount to is going to be this much smaller, so we decided it was 1 1/8 off of each side that it needed to be. So we're just going to make the total width 49 3/4 by 14. We're going to make a box, put a couple of braces in it, and see where that leads us, and then we'll get into something else. Alright guys, we got that all welded up. Glenn did most of it. He didn't want anybody to see him welding. He actually did a pretty good job. It's one of those things, if you want to learn how to weld, this is a good project. I mean, you know, this isn't something that's going to hold structure except for the hood. I mean, this lid. I mean, and if it breaks, you just fix it. So, you know, this is a good project if you know, and you're not going to learn how to weld until you put the welder in your hand and get out there and run some beads. So I'm letting him do most of the welding, and we're going to rock on. We're going to cut 2 more braces. We're going to weld him up, and we're going to cut out a piece of steel, and we'll come back.
like I'm getting off.
Alright guys, we went ahead and got the frame centered up in here and welded to the hinges. The bottom side of the hinges are bolted in. We're going to put another hinge, so there'll be 3. I wanted to get both of these 2 working like they were supposed to before we tack the other one in, or weld the other one in. And like I said, this is going to be fully weldable, fully removable. May take and make sure, we're going to grind that down and we're going to make sure it's flat. And then, you know, put some weld on the other side to make sure it's good and strong. But the sheet metal is actually going to be welded to all of this. So, I mean, this isn't the only hinge point. The only strength point. So, yeah, we're going to get that done. I don't know how much more we're going to get done tonight. But we're going to get that hinge put in. Alright guys, I can't remember exactly where we left off. It's the next day. We're going to try to go and get this knocked out. We've got the neck in the gas tank. We're going to take a little more out of it so it sits a little further down. And it'll just clamp right in, which will be nice. That'll make sure there's no leaks. It'll be nice and rigid. Ain't going nowhere. You can see that this works really well. Needs a little oil on the hinges, but we ground down all of the welds smooth. When we get ready to weld everything up, I'm going to put a couple of tacks, or a couple of maybe 1-inch welds on each side on each weld to make sure that it's good and strong. But now we're going to cut out the piece of metal, and what we're going to do, we want to come back a 1/2 inch beyond the back of the bed to put that pinch weld molding on. It's going to be right at the width of the bed, so the pinch weld will hit the edge of the bed, and there's going to be actually a piece of weather stripping sitting down on top of this. We're going to come out beyond the bed 1 inch and break it down 1 inch, so it'll have a little bit of a handle to grab onto. And what we're going to do, we've got 1 factory edge left on this piece of metal, which is already the correct width. It may have to have 1/8 of an inch taken off of one end of it. It's not the right length yet, but we're going to take this factory edge. We're going to score us a line 1 inch from the edge with the cutoff wheel and bend it up. That's probably going to be kind of tough, so let's get into that and see what's going to happen. Alright guys, we got this scored up. Glen and I are going to get over here and try to get this bent up at a 45. We've got it clamped to the bench.
1 foot on the table.
1 foot on the table. We're going to try to go to a 45 with it. We may have to score it a little more.
No, it's going.
Is it going? Hold up, let's see where that's at. Hang on, Glenn. Yeah, let's go up some more. We're going to have to go beyond 45 to get it there. Okay, hold up.
You need to score it.
No, it bent. I don't think it's at a 45 though. It's probably 30 degrees.
Be careful, because I start to see a little bow.
Yeah, starting to see a little bow.
Right there on your end and my end. So you want to try to score it to have more?
Let's stop right there. Hey, that turned out pretty good. Alright guys, so I went home and got the slapper tool, and we just had this 1 inch piece of bar. There's a couple of divots. I was trying to use the wrong tool to straighten it out with.
That's what he calls a hammer.
So we may need just a little skim coat right there. Right along that edge. There's a divot or two. And all I'm doing is taking a flapper and slapping it blanks and blows, trying to get it smoothed back out. But I think that's going to be good once we get it welded down. I think it's going to take out everything else. I may blast a couple of tacks. We got a little thin right there. You can see the heat. This side's not bent quite as far. If you're new to the channel and didn't see, I forged a couple of slappers a few videos back. That's one of them. So go back and watch that video if you're interested. Anyway, we're going to get back on this and try to get it on the frame. Alright guys, we got it in place. I think it actually looks pretty good. It works good. We've got a couple of screws holding it. It needs to be welded. So we're going to pull it off. We're going to weld it into the frame. And then we're going to put it back on and see how it looks. But it's actually looking really good. It looks like a little toolbox in here. It really cleans up the back of the truck. So we're going to get this welded in, shoot some welds, put it back on, and we'll come back and finish up this video. Alright guys, there it is. We got it made. Ended up putting a bar across the middle of it to give it some support. It was oil canning a little bit. There's a few low spots. Glen and I are arguing back and forth as to whether we should try to put any fill in it or whether the rhino liner is going to cover it up. But
Make a comment. The rhino liner fixed.
Oh yeah, Glen was saying, do you think rhino liner would fix it? I know it's not going to fill it in completely, but it may be flat enough that you don't notice it. And like I said, the hinges turned out really good. We were going to have to put the pivot of the top behind the back of the bed so that it didn't come in contact when the lid come up. So if we used a piano hinge, it would have had to been put right up here, and it was, you know, sat it up higher. I mean, you could have used a piano hinge. Like I said, Glen had these, so we use these hinges. I think it looks fine once it gets painted up, and even with it down, I mean, you'll never see it going down the road. And I don't expect if he went to a show, he'd never showcase what's under here anyway. I mean, he might, you know, open it a little bit, and then you'd still have a hard time seeing back there. So I mean, it turned out good. So that's going to be the next thing. We're going to do some body work to the top of these rails, get some of these dents, fill in the bed stake pockets. I may bring my welder over here. This welder is a really nice welder for doing heavier stuff. I don't like it so much on body stuff because the weld is not quite as clean as I'd like for it to be. And if we're going to be doing body work with it, I may bring my small welder over here, or we may just use that one. I don't know. I mean, we use it to make the wheel tubs and put the wheel tubs in, so we may continue on, but I think I might do that. Meanwhile, Glen's already been doing moving some holes in his bed. He's done that work himself. He's still got to grind it up a little bit. You know, like I said, you got to get out there and break some eggs to make some omelets, so they say, and I think it looks really good for the experience that he has. And anyway, so like I said, the next one we're going to be doing some more body work on this, and probably the next one after that we'll probably finish it up, do the rhino liner, see what the bed looks like. And it's probably a couple years down the road, maybe a year from paint.
Maybe 5.
maybe 3 months, who knows. You can't ever tell about Glen. He gets something in his brain, next thing you know, we're getting it knocked out. So anyway, somebody's gonna have to get a damn 50 Ford running at some point. So anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll catch y'all next weekend. I don't know if there'll be an update on the car this week, but if there is, maybe I'll see you Wednesday. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see y'all later.